All right, let's talk some baseball. June 2nd is is opening day for the Trenton Thunder. We've got manager Shawn Chacón back for another season. Shawn, we know what this organization means to you. Welcome back and congrats on another season as the manager.
Thank you, thank you. I'm super excited. You get to do it twice you get to do it once is I'm grateful for, but anytime you do something like, manage, especially first time, I was just really hoping I get another opportunity so, to adjust and apply things that I learned. But yeah, I'm stoked.
We talked to you before about, your career and becoming manager. I saw a quote you said, I've enjoyed baseball now even more as a manager. I'm trying to pay attention to every aspect of the game. Talk about how much different it is and why you're enjoying this stage of your career.
Maturity, I think, first of all, my perspective as a coach. First, my perspective as a player, obviously that time runs out. For me, it was a little bit of there was a period of time where I was like, I didn't want to be around baseball. Um, and then you kind of get back into it. I coached, did lessons, pitching coach. That was a perspective. And then the opportunity to manage, I kind of just, opened up a whole new world of baseball for me. And it just was like this knowledge thirst, last year from the beginning to the end. You go in there as a first-time manager, you go in and you try to do everything, right? You try to overmanage, I think, is what usually happens. You're overcoaching, you're micromanaging your coaches and this and that. So last season, I tried not to, um, but there were times where I felt myself like, okay, just chill out. So this season going in, I really want to be open-minded and closed-mouthed even more to learn even more because there's more confidence going in this season where I don't have to apply my knowledge or coaching to players and other coaches. So I think this year I'll learn even more.
You're also somebody that is imparting knowledge on this is a draft league. So these guys, more than a lot of the players that, especially the ones that you played with, these guys are knocking on the door. Everything that they are soaking in every bit of knowledge that you and your coaching staff give. How do you find the balance between what you're trying to learn and the wisdom that you need to impart on them to succeed at the next level the way you did?
I mean, I think the experience part is where it all comes together, having played and, succeeded and failed and been in the same position that these players at this age and this stage are coming in. It's easier for me to look at them, not necessarily assess them, watch them play, talk to them, know them, and then, apply or teach or even just talk to them about things that I experienced that were similar to their situation. So it really becomes less about teaching and coaching and more about just sharing experience and perspective. And I found through the relationships that have lasted past the season from some of these other players that have moved on, they're still reaching out. And, the one thing that I get, the good feedback I get from them is the 100% transparency, honesty, and, my perspective and what I experienced. So I feel like that's the fine line is making sure these guys are looking at you as, a resource, rather than the coach, right? Because I just feel like that puts up a barrier, especially with professional players, older guys. Like they need to trust you. The generation of kids, like they want to, they can get everything on social media. They'll fact check you instantly, right? Like I learned that quickly, especially with my 14-year-old
Those
daughter.
facts might not be right though.
Well, but this is right. See, now you know what I'm talking about because that's what I explained to
Exactly.
him. I'm like, well, you can go fact check me, but I'm gonna fact check your fact check because I don't know where you're looking for this info. Anything could be posted on there, but I think just getting them to trust and then talk about the experience because you can't hide the authenticity when you're speaking of a personal experience, and I feel like for me especially, I'm like when I talk, it's with heart, and I'm telling them like, yeah, I went through this. And it looks like you're going through this, and in my experience, this. So I think for me, that's one of my strengths is being able to share the experience authentically, and then I kind of reel them in that way. And then after that, it's easier to throw in, hey, try this or, maybe think this.
You talk about players reaching out after they moved on. It's not like they've moved on to not being in baseball, many of them. You had 10 players drafted last year, several more free agent signings. What's it about the Thunder's developmental environment and the competition in this league that sets people up for where you're sending them next?
Well, I think the first thing is, the Thunder haven't been a double A and triple A and all the affiliated baseball, double A with the Yankees for so many years. The front office, the fan base, first and foremost, that's an authentic professional minor league baseball experience, the stadium, all that. The competition in the league as well. When you're bringing in guys from the same level with the same goal, and they're understanding that, like, yeah, it's a summer league type of thing, but we're giving you a taste of what it's like if you are lucky enough to get drafted or signed. And that's what we're trying to explain to them. And for a lot of them, it's like, whoa, And I'm like, yeah, this is a six-team league, dude. Like one, 30 games in the first half, 50 in the second. This is nothing compared to like what it actually is once you get to an affiliate. So once they do, and we've had guys signed all the way, I think, let's see. One of them signed just a couple months ago. It was late on one of our pitchers, Brendan Parks, I believe. He ended up signing with the Orioles, and it was, deep into the offseason. So when they call and let us know these things, they're like, man, you were right. The whole one of the things that stands out is the whole patience, right? The whole process thing. If you don't get drafted in June, you could get signed as undrafted free agent. If that doesn't happen, it could happen in the offseason. And when these things do happen, uh, these players are calling back and being like, man, you were right. You were right. You were right. And as much as it feels good, you're just like, I know because I experienced it. But I think overall, the league itself has done a tremendous job of setting all the organizations up with what we need to, give these kids that experience, but also showcase them and put them in situations where they can show their talent against guys at the same level, without, I guess, it being a do or die type thing, right? Like you're not in there. And so by the end of that experience for these guys, I'll let them know, like, look, if you guys are fortunate enough to get drafted, you're in for it, dude. Like it is not uh this glamorous uh just what you see on TV or whatever. Like it is a grind. And so it's almost like you better be sure that you want to play this game because it's not for everybody. And that by that I mean going through that process of trying to make it to the big leagues is that's why it's 1% thing because it's not for everybody.
Does having this league help them in the transition in that, when they're in high school, or even a lot of these guys, a lot of your players from last year were college guys. They're playing 20, 30 games a year. You're talking about now playing 60 instead of playing a full schedule of maybe 100 that you might play in minor league baseball. Does having this area like help them transition slowly as opposed to picking up right away?
Absolutely, because let's let's take for example, a reliever. Okay, like if we get most of the pitchers we get that are in college, they were starters, but occasionally you get that that's definitely a reliever. But you kind of try to break it down to them like this. Okay, here's a taste of what you're going to get in the minor leagues. Relievers, you're going to throw. You're going to be expected to be ready to throw every day. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to pitch every day, but you know, throwing one day and then taking 3 days off, playing 2 games a week, that's not it. We're gonna play every day. You need to be able to pitch and pitch effectively, at the very least 2 days with a day off every other day, sometimes 3 days in a row, which rarely people want to do. But for them, it's like, holy cow, dude, like I gotta pitch again. Like I don't feel good. I get a lot of pitchers that are like, yeah, I could use an extra day, like if I could go and me and the coach, we laugh because we're like, okay, like here you can get that, right? But you go into an organization and you're in mid-season, like don't say that, like you're going to be expected to do this, whether you feel good or not, right? Hitters, same thing. The schedule, the travel, okay? BP every day on the field, infield, outfield, 2 or 3 times a week. Um, Travel before the game, hotel, different food, the bus trips. Again, it's dope for them because it is this experience that a lot of them won't ever experience again. But the guys that do, I really feel it's important because that transition, this little 30 games they get, it's helped a lot. I get feedback from guys who are like, man, you're right about like, you know, the complex league. It's crazy. There's, 100 Dominicans that throw 100 miles an hour, and I'm like, told you, like you're gonna go and be a small fish in a really big pond, but the process, the perseverance, and not worrying about anything else besides what you're doing, that's just key. Just hang on to that. So I think this league has helped a ton with that.
You talked about, pitchers may not want to go as soon afterward. Back in your day, and me growing up watching pitchers, you pitched a whole lot more innings. You came into games a whole lot more than they do now. They're micromanaged at this point so
Mhm.
that they don't get hurt. Does it help to have this league and have somebody like you to say, hey, look, sometimes you're going to have to push yourself, but also teach them maybe this is where you learn not to give max effort every single time you throw a ball, and learn to preserve your body, and think more as a pitcher and pitch more instead of throwing more.
Absolutely. That is the point you get to once you get them to understand, okay, pitchers, relievers, you guys need to be ready to throw the whole week. Now, we're not going to do it every day, but here's some tips, right, on how to make sure that you're going to be ready. First things first, when you're out there playing catch, it's not max effort. You're not throwing a million. You're not throwing, 400 feet long toss. Hi, sorry. You're not throwing uh, you're not throwing a 400 feet long toss and then getting in the game, max effort again, right? You're trying to throw 100 every pitch, and you come out high, and you come out and you're like, Silo, come here real quick. No, come here. Well, I was gonna have you say hi real quick. Then come here this side.
You got a fan there for the interview.
Say hi. Baby dragon's right here. Say hi. Hi.
Hello
Wave.
there.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, say bye.
Hi.
Thank you.
Hi.
Come by in the door. We're going right outside.
Ah, leave scorched earth stains everywhere he goes. Anyway,
It's
so
getting you
yeah,
ready for the season.
he totally is. So I find this a lot. The first outing for a lot of these relievers, they'll come in and they're like, I mean, they're lights out. They're throwing upper 90s and they're pumped. And then you get like 2, 3, 4 days later and they're just like, Skip, it just doesn't feel, I just, that whole. So again, yeah, you're right. You teach them, listen, it doesn't matter. You're going to have to pitch unless you're hurt, right? We figure out ways to manage, ways to mitigate your stress that you put out, ways to figure out like how are you going to be at your best. Now, a lot of it comes from you're not max effort. That's the first number one thing is we're not on max effort. The taking care of the body part, the maintenance in between, the training, right? The post throwing recovery stuff that they do, all the movement prep. Like there's a lot that they have access to. So it makes it a lot easier for us to tell them like, okay, this is how you're going to pace yourself, for lack of a better term.
Baseball's a game of failure. And, we saw the Phillies struggle at the start of the season. Everybody wanted to lose their minds on this team, saw managerial change. A lot of the players who struggled now have been playing a little bit better. What do you teach your players about managing the challenges and the failures that come up in this game constantly so that they can keep their head in it and succeed?
Well, one of the first things we talk about, or what I talk about, I guess, when a meeting, like I'll come in and our first team meeting will go something like this, like, listen, if you guys choose to play this sport professionally, understand that your life is going to be miserable a lot of the time. Okay. And this I learned from Jeff Matto, dude. He would come in, bring his players, and he'd be like, listen, don't do it walk out of this room right now. You're a sociopath if you choose to play this game, and it's going to eat you up. It's going to spit you out, and you're going to scratch and claw and cry and fight for, maybe 25% success if you're lucky, 30% success if you're good, right? So don't do it. You're screwed. That's what he would say. So and it's like really telling them like there's a reason why baseball has so many players within the organization. There's a reason why the turnover of rosters and all this is so much. It's because it is a game of failure. It's a grinding, torturous game of failure. And if you don't like failing and punishing yourself, then don't play baseball. So for me, it's like the competitive spirit is like, no, like I'm not gonna fail. And if I do, I'm gonna keep going at it. But if I look back on my career, I'm like, geez, a lot of failure, dude, in there, like not a lot of success compared to like any other sport. But for me, that's where the experience and the learning comes from. Um, I'll give you an example, like for me, and I'll use it this year is like golf. I've been playing a lot more golf. And man, it sucks sometimes. And I'm like, I don't know why I'm playing. I'm punishing myself. I'm just mad, this and that. But for one good shot, right? You hit one good shot, and then it's like, oh, I love this game. And so I feel like that's kind of what baseball is like. And you tell these guys, like, okay, just remember your love for this game when you're in that 0 for 10 slump. Okay. Try to remember your love for this game when, you've walked five guys and given up, 6 or 7 runs. Just try to remember it because I think that's the key. The great players, you mentioned the Phillies. I mean, even like Bryce Harper, right? Like he struggled tremendously and then, started finding some success. I mean, I feel like every MLB team does it. Look at Shohei. We watched Shohei struggle for a long time, finally got some hits and started clicking. But you have to be able to want that failure and to embrace it in order to get the success. That is just an absolute must. That's what you're signing on. You're signing in blood when you decide to play baseball. I'm okay with failing and I'm going to embrace it because that's where the learning comes.
Failure and excuses are changing in baseball, though. Now there's ABS. So now as a pitcher, you can't frame pitches as much. A catcher can't frame the pitches for you. You have less excuses in my mind because ABS and the rules are changing. Do you see those rules helping players or hurting players or a combination of it?
I mean, you can't see it any other way than helping in my mind because again, it takes, you know, the opinion, I guess, out of it, especially for a pitcher. Um, it forces the pitcher to be, actively in the strike zone. Now, I do believe that there will still be some play there with the catcher framing because, if they don't challenge and the umpire calls a strike, the catcher still has, some skill there in order to pull strike balls and strikes. Um, I do, however, feel like if I was a pitcher, I'd be like, damn, dude, all right, like I'm not gonna have that whole remember the Braves in the 90s and you're like, I'm not gonna have that whole outer strike zone. You know what I mean? But overall, I think getting it right, getting it, takes away, the opinion takes away, it makes pitchers especially be accountable. Um, and man, what I've seen so far is that these hitters, man, what kind of eyes they really do have. It's tremendous to see some of these challenges and to come back a ball like that. And you're like, it's
Catchers
pretty
too.
catchers too, right?
I mean, Sal Perez the other night, he challenged two in a row, and they were called balls, they were strikes. And the third one, the ump kind of jokingly looked over his shoulder to be like, "You gonna challenge this one too?" So it's
Yeah.
been interesting to watch the change in stadium as they show it on the screen and the crowd reacts. And
Mhm.
curious how you advise players of that part of ABS, the what's become the entertainment value of ABS around it, it seems.
Well, it does. It has that little like, ooh, you see that and you're like, oh, the crowd's like, you see it on the screen and they're like, oh, it's awesome, dude. And it gives another layer of, I guess gameplay in the game also. the umpires, I feel like, are the only ones that will suffer, and that might be just an ego thing, which we all know they could be better anyway, but we're not nobody's perfect, but I just feel like I like it. I think it's important to get back, to get things accurate with the way as fast as these guys throw the ball these days, the strength, the speed, everything. The game's evolved, so I think this fits perfectly.
Do
I
you
hate
think it takes
to,
some of the thinking out of it for a pitcher? Like there were certain umpires where you had to adjust to an umpire. They had a certain
Mhm.
strike zone that was different than the box. But there were others as a pitcher where you could kind of manipulate where you were throwing at the beginning of the game to kind of define your own strike zone.
hmm Absolutely. So that's the little nuance from the old part of the game, right? Those are the nuances of like, okay, who's behind the plate today? The catcher and pitcher we know. Traditionally he gives the ball down or he gives this much off the corner. So you go in knowing that and you can kind of exploit it. Now, those parts of the game, like us old school guys, like obviously, it's a soft spot there for us. Like those are the little parts of old school baseball that, you know the pitcher being able to hold the ball, pick and do this and that. Like it was all part of the gameplay, which now it's evolved, but I just think again, a happy medium of both, I think is where baseball needs to be. And I think if they stop and prevent it from getting too much, technology based, and replay driven and all this, I think it'll be fine.
yeah, good luck with that. Seems like we're
Yeah, they're
seems like we're
taking
moving in the
off.
opposite direction of
I
that.
know. It's like you
Except
want it
for
to.
except for when it seems like except for when you want the replay sometimes. Like
hmm
sometimes it's like it doesn't make sense that you can't replay a play that's so obvious, and then other times they're replaying other things. So it's just how do you
Yeah.
advise players about that, about challenges and replay? Because I mean, obviously you're teaching them there too, and you're learning yourself as it goes.
Yeah, I asked if we were going to have ABS in the league, and the league director laughed at me. He's like, "You really want that with those players?" Like, probably not, but
Would they all challenge everything that other they'd have
everything.
their hand like
Oh
glued
my
to their
God,
cap
instantly.
basically.
They'd be throwing, before the ball even crosses. But no, I think for the young player again, I think it's important that they learn the game the original way in its purest way first, right? Like experience. You don't get all these perks. You don't get the challenge. You don't get, these replays. Just learn the game, play the game. You can start to talk about it. It's a conversation always, right? Who can challenge pitchers? I would think managers are gonna like you don't get to challenge ever. Okay, pitchers you don't get to challenge
Do pitchers
because
think every ball is a strike?
100% we do. And you know what? That's how we were raised to believe. Like, yes, I throw strikes every time. And then it's like, well, he can hit that. So why isn't it a strike? Like um, but I would say that again, the catcher, we'll see in the playoffs, man. I can't wait to see like how big some of these plays are going to be, and some of these challenges and how the manager are going to allow their players to use them, it's going to play, a factor. And I think it'll be interesting to see. But if it was me, I'd be like, okay, I'd know my best hitters, right? And look at, walks, you look at this, you look at strikeouts looking, and you just kind of say, okay, and I'm sure they have analytics guys that can figure all this out. Here's the guys with the best eyes, I guess, or whatever. And then you just let them, do it. I think the trust comes in. Uh, but overall, I think catchers, should be the ones that you could tell your manager, like, oh, I'm challenging when I see fit, and that's it.
Before we talk about the Thunder, just one more question about the old days. You played for teams like the Asheville Tourists and the Carolina
Yeah.
Mudcats, and baseball, minor league baseball, developmental baseball is so much more advanced now. They have so many more luxuries than you guys have. What are the stories, the worst stories that you could tell some of these young guys to make them appreciate what they don't even have to go through that you guys went through?
Oh man. I mean, where do I start? I go listen. I go back to rookie ball. So what? 96, drafted by the Rockies. I go to Arizona, and we're in Ahwatukee, Arizona, or Chandler, Arizona. We were in a Quality Inn hotel. I remember that. Workout bus every morning at 7 a.m., 6 a.m. We caught a little white van, go to the complex. And I just remember thinking like, man, dude, it's 8 a.m. out here. We're out here playing baseball. It's awesome. But by noon, I'm like, this is torture. It was hot. It was 100. And you'd go in for lunch. And here was the funny part, dude. You go in for lunch on a 100-degree day, it's 12, and we'd get soup. Okay. And they had our spreads, right?
Gazpacho or hot
Spread.
soup?
Hey, dude, hot soup, bro. Listen, our spread was a big drum of Campbell's vegetable beef soup or chicken noodle soup, okay? And fruit like an apple or banana. And I just remember I had Pat Rollo was the clubhouse manager. And he talked like this, and he was an old school clubby, and here, this and that. And he's like, he'd have a big old ladle in the soup thing. We'd come in, and if you didn't get in early enough, you weren't getting actual vegetables in the soup. You were just getting broth. So, as hot as it was, as hot as it was, I remember 100 degrees. You're scrambling in to make sure you get some substance in your hot Gatorade cup of soup, okay, that day you'd get. And I just remember that whole experience coming in line, sweating. Um, and thinking like, man, this is pro baseball, and I'm just scooping ladle hot soup in 100-degree weather out, and I'm like, I didn't know any better, dude. I mean, this is pro ball, and I was drafted the third round. It wasn't like, I had anything different or expected anything different, but I just remember that part. Then moving on to like single A, man, 16-hour bus trips, dude. Like,
Oh,
oh my goodness. Where were we? I was a Carolina Mudcat, and I think we had to play in Birmingham. The Black Barons, I think, were in that same league. I'm pretty sure that was our long bus trip. And I just remember, there were guys that would fight on these bus trips on the bus. We like it was just bodies everywhere, smelly, this and that, hot. And all I could think about was, I wonder what it's like when they fly on a plane to games. Like, that would be so cool, right? Like, but I can tell you this, when you're 18, 19, or you're from Dominican, Venezuela, and you're, in that bus, like, it's it's great. Like, you don't know any better until, you get to the big leagues or you got to AAA and you're like, oh man, that was awful. Like, that was awful. I don't ever want to experience that again. But
what was your lodging like? We used to hear
what
the fun. What was your lodging like? We used to hear the fun stories at spring training of like players with blown up air mattresses in garages, all like sharing rooms together
well,
and
but
stuff.
that was the thing. So we made 800 bucks every 2 weeks. Okay. My first year in pro ball, single A, low A. Every 2 weeks, you got 800 bucks. Now, let's say I'm in Asheville, right? I had, I let's see, I had four roommates, I think, in a two-bedroom. Um, Air mattresses, couches in the living room, right? Sometimes in the bedrooms you double up. Sally Leak at Salem, same thing. I think I had four roommates again and living room. And again, we weren't ever home, right? And it was just a place to sleep. But I do remember blankets, air mattresses, big bags of rice, big things of uh, chicken breast, okay, that our Latin friends would be making big old pots of chicken and rice because it was cheap, could get full, and that was it. So again, the lodging was terrible. You go on the road and you're at a Motel 6 or 8 or 10. I don't even know what they're called anymore. Um, but you go there and it's like drive up to the room, like cars pulling up to the door. You see headlights coming in and you're just like, you know, um, Waffle houses on the lot. Like that was the only thing you could eat was at a Waffle House, before or after the game. So those experiences stick in my brain now, and I'm like chuckling, and I'm like, I got a chance to play in the big leagues at the highest level, so I can laugh about it. But I tell these guys, I'm like, man, some of these guys that come from these big four colleges, conferences, I'm like, you guys have no idea what you're in for. Even though it's better now, I know they take care of them better, but
Yeah, it is a lot better. And as somebody who drives by, I see the work that's been done on Trenton Thunder's field. It looks gorgeous. It looks like there won't be a single bad hop on that field. How excited are you to get to Trenton and start this journey?
I'm stoked. I was worried that, I don't know, the weather you guys had earlier, right? I think it was talked about like all that snow that never left. I don't know, it was a month or two
It's
ago.
gone. It's now
Now
almost
it's
100 degrees. Don't
well,
worry.
yeah, it's 100. It's gone. But no, listen. There's a surface. Williamsport has it was the best surface in the league, right? They played that Little League World Series classic there, so it's big
Hmm.
league, right? But
Yeah.
now I feel like our surface will be able to compete. The stadium, the new grass, everything. I'm so pumped about it. Just talking to players that we signed, the new coaching staff that we have. I can't wait, man. It's probably going to be like for me, you know, uh, I would say one of the best experiences this season. That's what I expect anyway. I'm going into it with this enthusiasm, and then the stadium and new coaching staff. So the way I see it is like this, it's probably going to be a season that I feel like will, propel a lot of players, maybe even coaches, and probably the Thunder. I mean, I can't imagine they're not going to be affiliated after doing all this work this season. So,
Well, we hope so. We
and
can't wait.
new ownership too, I believe.
Yeah, we can't wait up there. Can't wait to get up there and see a couple games. That'll be fun. Season starts June 2nd. We appreciate you always giving us a little time to chop it up and talk about it, and can't wait for you to get back here and get things moving. Thanks so much for the
I'm
time, Sean.
excited, man. Thanks for having me again. Um, During the season too, before if you guys ever want to chat, if you do happen to make it up there, um,
Oh, we'll be there.
We'll be there. We'll let you know when we're coming
Yep.
up.
yeah, let me know for sure. And then, outside of that, I appreciate you guys, man. It's fun chatting with you for sure.
We
Always.
love chatting with you too. We learned so much about baseball, and we really hope that these kids actually pay attention
Well, we
Right.
because
also hope
you
they
have
don't have to
so
eat.
much to impart on them that they would
Yeah,
be missing something. That's
I
the whole
appreciate
benefit
that.
of this league.
See,
Thank you.
Jeff has something profound to say. I just hope they don't have to eat hot soup.
Right.
Thanks so much, Sean.
Thank you guys. Talk soon, man.